Hello and a very warm welcome to her space. In this podcast, we have conversations with women. It's all about women inspiring women. And we delve deeper into the topics of mothers, mothers in different spaces, mothers in politics, mothers in journalism, mothers at workplace, mothers in education, health, and across all disciplines. I'm so excited to host a very dear friend of mine who is a journalist, a mom, and a woman who is impacting women in journalism. Karibu sana, Rachel. I'm so excited and I can't wait to have this conversation with you. Most welcome. Please introduce yourself to our audience.
Thank you so much, Edna. My name is Rachel Lombaka, and I like to introduce myself differently. I am a woman's woman, and by that I mean that I fight for women's rights. I speak up about things that the society would rather keep quiet about. What makes me who I am today is the people I surround myself with, which is my family and my friends. And my job now comes last in my introduction. I am a journalist, and I am a journalist who's passionate about women's issues.
Wow, what a nice introduction.
Thank you.
I would love to know how you chose this journalism. What inspired you to be a journalist? You know, when we were all growing up, we wanted to be in media. We wanted to be celebrities in Hollywood or at least in front of TV screens. A dream that is we are realizing much later in life. Yeah, what inspired you?
I love that you've asked that question.
Yeah.
Because I was never inspired to be a journalist.
Okay.
When I was growing up, I wanted to be a mathematician because that's the subject I was good in.
That is the last thing I've heard.
I know, you didn't see that coming.
Thank you for inspiring girls across Africa.
Thank you.
To love maths.
Exactly.
And science.
Yeah. So, and when you're good in a particular subject, your parents will, you know, that's where they'll see you heading to.
Yes.
So my teachers knew I'll go to Alliance. My parents knew I'll be a professor somewhere. Yeah. But when I went to high school, things started changing because I used to be number one always, primary school. I was number one in the region, Rift Valley. But then I went to high school and then I was number one from the bottom.
Girl.
Yeah. And not that I was performing.
From the bottom, what do you mean?
I was last.
Oh.
Yes.
Why?
Because when I went to high school, things changed in my family and it affected me.
Oh, okay.
My dad lost his job.
Okay.
We moved from Nakuru, where I was born, to Mombasa.
Okay.
So that my mom's mom could support us. She was a politician.
Okay.
But as these changes are happening, no one is explaining it to me.
Oh.
Yeah. So me, I'm wondering, the little girl is wondering, why do I have to leave my friends? Why are we going to this strange town where, you know?
Yes.
And how come dad no longer goes to work?
Yes.
Why does mom now have to sell cakes, she became a caterer? Why does mom no longer work in an office? There are a lot of changes happening and I'm also becoming an adolescent.
Okay.
Yeah. So a lot is being thrown at me. So I ended up becoming last in school.
Oh, it affected your academics.
Exactly. So by the time I'm finishing Form 4, I finished with a B plus. Yeah. And it landed me a calling to Maternal University to study maths still because I still got an A in maths.
Okay.
Even though the overall grade was B.
Yes.
But there was no conversation. You know how people say, I met when I was young, I looked up to this person to become. There was a lot of turmoil in my life, so I don't remember, you know, aspiring to be something.
Yeah.
My life was mostly about survival, right? So called to Maseno, but because you're supposed to take, it takes about, is it a year at the time or 2?
Before you specialize.
Exactly.
Yes.
So my parents decided that instead of waiting so long, they should take me to a university in Uganda.
Okay.
Uganda was cheap. And because my parents were not the deciding factor of where I would go, it was my grandmother and everyone in her church was telling, Uganda is the place to go.
Okay.
I was taken to Uganda. In Uganda, what did I study? I studied BCom.
Okay.
Because I was good in maths, right?
Yes.
But how long did I last in Uganda? A term.
What?
A term. My heart was not okay.
Oh.
Because as a B plus girl studying with D and E students.
Oh, yeah, because the course was admitting.
Exactly. A lot of the Kenyans in Uganda who are unable to get courses in Kenya
would go
end
there.
up there. Yes. And you would be okay if you had a C and a D, and you're like, at least I've gotten an opportunity to study, because the Kenyan system is quite intense.
Yes, and this is in the 90s,
yes.
right?
So you wouldn't fault, you know, students who go to Uganda.
Yes.
But now Rachel was out of place.
Yes.
So I went back home, fees ikaenda hivyo.
Wow.
Because I was depressed. I'd call home every day. I said, this is not the school for me.
Wow.
It was a culture shock again, because nikiwa Kenya, my high school, Loreto High School Limuru, had modern structures.
Wow.
When I went to Uganda, ilikuwa ni ushago.
Okay.
Pit latrines, munaoga mkiangaliana.
Yes, the
you know,
typical high school.
And then again in class, I'm like, this is not where I'm supposed to be. So I rebelled in a way by coming back home. Niliomba fare, nikarudi nyumbani. Okay. And I knew I'd suffer the wrath of my grandmother who's paying my fees, but I was like, I can't, I'll die here, because I was dying inside. So I ended up coming back to Kenya and telling my dad, Daddy, I can't do this. And he listened to me and told me, I understand, go to Nairobi and look for a university.
Had you been admitted in the typical Kenyan?
Yes, I had. I'd been admitted to Maternal.
Oh,
yes.
Then they decided to.
But because I had not.
2 years space.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So while all this is happening, I'm still waiting to be enrolled there. Yes. But eventually my space was taken up by someone else.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now you couldn't even now go to Maternal.
Exactly.
Now you're in the middle.
I'm in the middle. So I come to Nairobi, I look at Daystar, I look at Africa Nazarene, I look at USIU.
Okay.
And when I stepped into USIU, I was like, this is my saving grace.
Yes. Beautiful school.
Exactly. Beautiful school. Yes. And because I was not in a good space mentally, a lot was happening at home. I felt, safe.
It was a safer community,
yes,
open.
Exactly. The culture.
Very nice.
Yeah. There are a lot of different people from different countries.
Yes.
They look different, but people are accepting them the way they are.
Yes.
So I chose USIU. So at USIU, I studied IT.
Okay.
Because that was the closest thing to a scientific, because my brain was scientific.
Yes. And USIU is very arts.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes.
It's very artsy.
Yes.
So I ended up doing IT. Loved it.
Okay.
Yeah. Did very well, graduated.
Okay.
By the time I'm graduating, USIU has a program where they invite companies to the school for recruitment.
Yes.
So Nation Media Group entered my life.
Okay.
At USIU. So to answer your question in such a long way, that's how I ended up. Yes.
It's like stumbling into
Yes. And at the time, they had started something called a media management program.
Okay.
Yes. And they were recruiting people with different backgrounds. You didn't have to have studied journalism because they wanted to infuse that into the media.
Yes.
Because their audience is different.
Yes.
So they wanted to appeal to different audiences. So they took people who had studied IT, people who had studied medicine, people who had studied law, put them together, trained them about journalism. And then now those people will go into those spaces and write about the topics that they learned in school.
Yes.
So that's how I ended up in journalism.
And when you got there, because it had nothing to do with math,
yes.
How did you grow into art?
I think, and which is so unfortunate, and looking back, trying to join the dots.
Yes.
I used to write poems.
Oh, a long time
ago. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So I was a storyteller from Kitambo, but because that was not celebrated in my life, the parents we grew up with, you must become a doctor, engineer, become, So this writing thing fizzled out.
What was your dad's profession?
My dad is a doctor.
Oh, that's why you really wanted to be a doctor. Okay, daddy's girl.
Yeah, I was daddy's girl actually.
Yeah. Still,
we'll get there.
Okay.
My life is quite the zigzag.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
So then now you're in art and now you're in media.
Yes. So I fit quite well.
So that unconsciously how you loved poetry and all that came back.
It came back.
And you started enjoying writing.
It came back.
Yeah.
It came back.
And how did you grow into advocacy?
Yeah. Ooh. That's a very...
You're doing an amazing job.
Thank you.
We are all so proud of you, especially because of being the brave voice.
Yes.
Yeah, for many women in media.
Yes.
Before we get into your work, I'd love to just go back a little bit, especially on how your childhood was, like something happened and it affected you.
Yeah.
And today I look at, I'm in a blended family, and I always tell my husband about how children, when parents separate, they get affected Oh, and for you, it was a case of financial change.
Yes.
So there are changes that happen in families.
Exactly.
So it could be divorce, it could be financial crisis,
Yes.
and how, as adults, sometimes we don't speak to children. So we expect children to just
go with the flow.
Exactly.
Which,
what would you say about that? And because it does affect children.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a trauma that is not addressed.
Yes.
Ever.
Yes. And the psychologist will tell you, a lot of the times we suffer because we don't know how to label our suffering.
Yes.
You have used the word trauma.
Yeah.
There was trauma in my childhood, not just because of the financial changes and, but there was also physical violence.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
And the physical violence was there because the man of the home lost his stature.
Yes.
He could no longer provide.
Yes.
And for a man, when he cannot provide, it emasculates him.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
So my mom would be beaten.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah.
Because he would be taking out his frustrations on her. Yeah. So that is how I got into advocacy, because when I was younger, I saw it once, the beating, and then my brain locked. There are different ways that the body learns to survive or defend itself. It's either flight, freeze, or fight. So my mind froze. My body and my mind froze, and they remained frozen for a long time until 2019.
Yes.
I'm in South Africa for a media management course.
Yes, you told that story so well in my book, Tea with Mom, Stories of Mothers. Thank you so much for that story.
Thank
and
you.
I'm so sorry about what your mom had to go through. You can just go ahead with it.
Yeah. We get a WhatsApp message in the family group.
Yes.
My mom is saying, "Save me, this man is trying to kill me." And she sent a video of herself. She had locked herself in the toilet. She was on the floor and blood was oozing from her head. And I panicked because I was away and my children were there with her.
Oh my God.
And it's midnight and no one is picking my calls. And now the mother who has sent the message is also not picking. So I was like, what has happened to her? Yeah. So eventually, fast forward, someone got her out, brought her to Nairobi after she had been taken to the hospital, bandage stitched, brought her to Nairobi. And from Nairobi, within a week, she was flown out of the country because she asked us as her children to changa a ticket so that she could go and be with her, my sister who lives, in the US.
Yes.
She was running away from pain and seeing death in the face. Yeah, and she was seeking solace. So in her mind, solace was out of Kenya.
Yes.
Yeah.
Physically leave.
Exactly, exactly. And sometimes a lot of the women don't leave these abusive relationships because they ask themselves, where will they go? Yeah. And
There's no escape route.
Exactly, because where do they start? Most of them are probably relying on the man for money.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And then a lot of them are being told, vumilia, that's part of marriage.
Yes.
A lot of them face shame. Yes. They're told that's your business. There's nowhere for them to run for help.
Yes.
So my mom, I think what she did was a very brave thing. Yeah.
To leave.
I know that it took her, I am 39, I know it took her 39 years to leave, but the fact of the matter is she left. Because maybe if she didn't leave, she'd be living in a coffin. Yeah. So that was my turnaround point when I was in the media. And because I had been doing regular stories, if you look at my stories from 2019 back,
Yes.
I'd been writing about politics, I'd been writing about whatever I'm given at the desk by my boss editor to do is what I was doing.
Yes.
But from that day when my mother left, my writing changed.
To now advocacy.
Yes.
And you were braver. You
Yes.
wanted the women's voices to be heard.
Yes. And ironically, that program which I was doing in South Africa had one of the segments in the course, one of the courses was sexual harassment. And a lot of things, remember how I told you my mind froze?
Yes.
A lot of things they were talking about there started making sense to me. I was like, so this is what happened in my childhood. Because again, people don't tell you when you are a child.
Yes.
Yeah. And another reason why the school, I have 2 children.
Yes.
I chose the school that they're in now because the school speaks about these things and they teach us as parents how to talk about these things, because a lot of the times we don't know.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
We were not taught, you and I, when you were growing
Or
up.
you kind of think they're normal things.
Exactly.
You've grown up with them, so you normalize them.
Exactly. You'll just say, my dad beats my mom.
Yeah.
The way you've said it, it already shows kawaida, normalized.
Yes.
And yet it's not.
Oh
yeah?
my God.
So that's how I started speaking at conferences, on panels with the Media Council of Kenya, That's how the Association of Media Women came into my life again.
Yes.
And that's how my journey into advocacy came to be, because now you'd say Rachel Ombaka,
Yes.
and people say, that one who fights sexual harassment in newsrooms.
Yes.
That one who writes about gender-based violence. That's how my journey into this space began.
Yes.
And it is a very tough space to be in.
Yes.
Because it's very triggering as well when you hear people's stories.
Yes.
But it's also very uplifting and powerful.
Yeah.
Because when you create a platform where people can talk about what has happened to them,
yes,
it's the beginning of a healing journey. And then they realize they're not alone.
True.
Because for the longest time I thought, it's only happened in my family because no one else was talking about it.
No one was talking about it. And that was so powerful. I loved how we added your story in my book, because I was just there talking about very nice things about motherhood, and you brought it in, and it was so powerful because a lot of people have resonated with it, and people call me about it. How is your mom now?
My mom is thriving in a way I never thought possible.
Amen.
I can't recognize that.
God.
She's so beautiful.
Wow.
Even her language.
Awesome.
Do you know, sometimes WhatsApp message you get forwards,
yes,
you read it and you're depressed. Those are the types my mom would send. You
those
know,
days.
Those,
yes.
Kitambo before she left. Those ones telling you, if you don't send this to 10 people, something will happen to you. No, those anxiety-inducing.
Yes.
She wasn't looking for, but that's where her mind
was.
Yes.
So she
was sending messages that resonate with where her mind is.
Yes.
Right now, she's sending us uplifting things, such that even when you're having a low day, she'll send a message and you'll be so, because she's in a good place.
I'm so happy
up
for
here.
her.
Even money-wise, she used to depend on my dad when she was here. Right now, she has her own job. She makes her own money. She's able to invest. She's now talking to us about where is a plot I can buy? Where is a house I can? I have never had my mom say those things when I was growing up. I'm hearing them now when I'm 39. And it is
so
beautiful. It is beautiful.
Yeah, she's empowered. She's thriving. God bless her.
Yeah.
And we believe there are all possibilities.
Absolutely. I actually say life begins at 60 because of my mom.
Oh, that's
age is nothing but a number.
Oprah turned 70 looking so good. So let her rock on.
Exactly.
In the States, she might find love
100%.
and more things.
100%.
Yeah.
And because of her, now I am who I am.
Yeah.
I am bold.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
I talk about issues.
How has she impacted your own motherhood journey?
Oh.
If you think about your mom and what lessons have you taken from her that are impacting how you're raising your two beautiful kids?
I'm still taking the lessons.
Yes.
When she was here, we didn't have a good relationship.
Okay.
To be quite honest. Because again, I was daddy's girl.
Yes.
And aside from the physical violence, there was emotional abuse of my mother and emotional abuse of the children, which were us, right? So the way the mind of an abuser works is divide and conquer. So he would speak nasty things about my mother to us. So in our eyes, my mother was the problem.
Oh my God.
Okay, and he was the hero. I mean, he was a doctor, well-learned fellow, right? So growing up 18, 19 years, I was daddy's girl and my mother was just a, housewife, studied,
Yes.
So even when I became a mother,
yes,
and she would correct me, she would say, you're being too tough on your child. I would get angry and offended.
You wouldn't see value in how are you telling me that?
Who are you to tell me is how I would take it.
Okay.
So we would either fight a lot or not talk at all.
Wow.
And actually, when I became pregnant with my first girl, who is now 11, my mother didn't talk to me for 2 months because it was a baby out of wedlock. Yeah. And I understand now because in the African setting, having a baby out of wedlock is shunned.
Yes.
And my mother did not know how to deal with that, right? So I wouldn't fault her. But essentially, I didn't have a support system with my first baby. The pregnancy was hard. I remember crying so much. I felt like mtoto atatoka because I had no one to talk to.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also the lack of that support from your own mother.
Exactly. And ironically now that my girl is 12, they're very close.
That's what happens when we forgive.
Exactly. And forgive is a very big part of this story.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I had to forgive her, but I also had to forgive myself.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's how healing begins.
Because in my head, I was like, how are you telling me how to raise my daughter? And when I was pregnant, you were not there.
Yes.
Right? And then even my siblings, my brother in particular, would tell me exact same thing my mom was saying. You're being hard on your daughter. And I was being hard because I was a traumatized parent, remember, from my childhood?
Yes.
So I would project it onto my girl.
Yes.
Yeah.
You wanted her to, what did you want her to do?
She was very young. She was 2 or 3.
Okay.
Atavunja kikombe, she'll break a cup or
Then you'll
something.
be quite...
Or she'll shout when I'm working, or, you know, just do what children do.
But you would take it...
And instead of guiding the child, you beat them as if they've stolen money from a bank.
Poor child.
So I was not being a fair parent.
Yes.
And I was being called out.
Yes.
But I was not ready to be called out because I hadn't dealt with my trauma.
Yes.
Yeah. But they persisted. They persisted calling me out.
Okay.
Yeah. Which led me to therapy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yes. So from therapy is where now forgiveness comes in. I was told you have to forgive yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You have to forgive your parents.
Yes.
They did the unthinkable. Your father did the unthinkable.
Yes.
Your mother, and you know, we learn how to mother from our mothers.
Yes.
So the thing I was doing to my daughter was done to me.
Yes.
Yeah.
You didn't know any other thing.
Exactly. And that's why I needed to forgive myself, because I didn't know.
Yes.
I hadn't go to a school of motherhood. There's no
There's
school.
no school. What a job.
Yes.
No manual.
So when my therapist told me you have to forgive yourself, I broke down.
Oh.
And remember, I'm a firstborn.
Yes.
And breaking down was frowned upon.
You trying to be strong?
Yes.
I
had been strong for
your whole
25
family?
years. Yes.
Too much.
So when I broke down, I broke down.
Yes.
Maybe for sijui like an hour. Like
I love
it was
that.
just coming out.
It's important, yes.
And it needed to come out.
It needed to come out.
It needed to come out. And another thing I've realized is when you're in the advocacy space,
Yes.
there's no way you can be someone who's trying to uplift others and empower others if you're not okay with yourself.
When you're broken.
Oh,
it will be so toxic. Yes.
It will be toxic, and then you will be spreading your toxicity
to people.
Exactly.
I am so glad that you took that route, and I'm so happy that at least we hadn't spoken after the story, and I'm glad that you're at peace.
Yes.
You've forgiven your dad, you've forgiven your mom, and the whole family is peaceful. And that now helps you to look after your children in a more healthier
100%.
way. Yeah. How you know, I've been talking to many women, and I'm like, how does the health of a mother impact how she mothers?
When you are physically unwell and you still have your children to think about, it is heavy. Yeah, you can have malaria, you can have COVID, you can have your periods. Some people have very debilitating period pains. And when you're a mom, you often have no choice but to show up for your children.
Yes.
You'll find, especially the young moms, you'll have to still wake up in the middle of the night and breastfeed. People are sleeping, but you're a mother, you have no choice. The child depends on you. Yeah. So now move away from the physical health.
Yes.
If you're not okay up here,
yes,
your children will not be okay. Yeah. I was talking to you earlier about a neighbor who has been abusing her child, physically abusing her child.
Very, very.
And because I have been in therapy, because I've been in the advocacy space, I know that the mother is not okay and she needs help.
She needs a lot of support.
Because she's projecting her trauma on the child.
On the child.
Yes. So when you're not okay, as much as you're an adult, you will not be able to control yourself, especially when you're angry, when you're sad, when you're triggered. So you will need an outlet. And a lot of the times, for mothers, the outlet will be the child.
The children, because they're the weaker.
They're the weaker. Exactly. And it is in the same context as when you have an abusive husband. They look for the weaker person. And the weaker person is not in their workplace.
It is the wife.
It is the wife in the home. And that's why
children.
They go and thwip the wife. So a mother who is not okay, who becomes an abuser because she looks for a weaker person in the home who turns out to be the child. And so the cycle continues.
So it's very important for mothers
so
to be healthy.
And it's not about saying we all need therapy, because for some people therapy doesn't work.
Yeah.
But you need to find a positive outlet and a positive support system where you can be yourself, and when you're not okay, you're free enough to say, I'm not okay.
Exactly.
And I need help.
Yeah.
Because a lot of mothers don't have that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those are the conversations we are having. Because again, you can't pour from an empty cup.
Oh,
you need to fill your
You're
cup.
speaking my language.
You have to fill your cup so that you can have something to give.
You can't fill from an empty cup.
Even the Bible says from the abundance of the heart,
exactly,
the mouth speaketh. Exactly. So you will find that what comes out of you is pain.
Yes.
So you give pain.
You give
and
pain.
then you get these children to carry so much pain. And and that affects them also
Yes.
when they grow up. So I'm so
Yes.
glad that you're leading from
Yeah.
the front and you're
Yeah.
leading women from healing yourself
Yeah.
to, like we have to start with ourselves.
Exactly.
Wow. So now being, let's go back now to your work.
Yeah.
Being a mother in media
Yeah.
and now advocacy, how have you navigated that? I was told by another senior lady that there's no balancing.
No, there's
It's
nothing like
integration.
balance. Yes,
So how has that
exactly.
worked out for you?
Being a mom in the media can be devastating. With my first child, I could not breastfeed because, they say a lot of the media is negative.
Yes.
And this also comes
Why
back.
do you guys like to give us the negative news? I thought there are so many weddings happening, so many people having good times.
I know.
We only see the really painful things.
And I don't subscribe to the Bible of the news, the media of
Yes.
negativity, but I'll just try to explain in a little bit why that happens.
Yes.
They say negativity sells, and they're in it for the money. Yeah. So that's why it spews out a lot of negativity.
Oh yeah, because it attracts attention.
Exactly. The positivity has an ultimately, uplifting effect, but they'll not make money from positivity.
Yes.
Yes. Which is so unfortunate.
Sad.
Yeah. So you can imagine the people working in that environment of negativity, how they are.
Yes.
That was, one of them was me. Yeah. First of all, your working hours like 4 to midnight.
Long hours.
Yes. And I had my baby when I had those funny hours. So, and there was no place to breastfeed. You know how at Safaricom there's like a mom's,
yes, beautiful. It's almost like home.
Yes, and other companies are they've set up places for moms to at least, what's it called, express milk, a fridge where you can put the milk.
Almost come with your baby, with your nanny.
I didn't have that when I had my first baby. That was 2013.
Okay.
So maziwa ilipotea because I had to be at work, long hours. Then you come from that negative environment, and they say with breast milk,
it's about the mind.
Yes.
Yeah, you have to be relaxed.
So maziwa ilipotea. So my baby was brought up on formula. Yeah. Then when I had the baby, I think when she was 1 or 2, I decided to leave because the negativity was too much.
Yes.
So I left. And I had a stint at, what is it called? A refugee company.
Okay.
Yes, where I was the communications, I think, associate.
Okay.
And it was a beautiful environment to work in until racism kicked in.
Okay.
So I left that space.
There could be racism. A lot.
People working in the NGO world should tell you.
Okay.
And the outside it looks glossy, but uko ndani.
You're feeling like you're inside.
You're feeling lesser than. You're in your own country, but you're feeling lesser than.
Wow.
Yeah, so I left there. And I was jobless for about 2 years. So during that period, I was baking cakes.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's how I made my money.
You're an artist, a mathematician.
Look at that, and mathematician making
cakes.
Quite interesting.
The cakes of your mom.
Look at that. My mom was a baker.
Yes.
Yeah, still influenced my life so greatly.
Yes.
And I'm realizing it now. So after I did the baking, unfortunately, I went back to media. I don't know whether I should say unfortunately or fortunately because you never know how life works.
And that was like your career anyway.
Yes. And that's how I ended up at Citizen TV.
Okay.
Yes. And the beautiful thing about Citizen is I got that job when I was pregnant, and I was so much in awe.
Okay.
I was like, there are people who employ women who are pregnant. Oh, that's amazing.
That was nice.
Yeah, because, I'd had You
did your interview and you're pregnant, nobody cared about it. That was nice.
Because some people don't get jobs because of the pregnancy.
Yes, because people are thinking immediately you're going on leave.
Exactly. So I enter Citizen and I get a wonderful boss who tells me, I know you're going to give birth. And when I eventually gave birth, I would work just until the morning, like 12, then go home.
That was
beautiful. To be with my baby.
It's a beautiful place to work.
Oh. And my boss wasn't a woman, it was a man.
Nice.
He for she.
Very strong.
He for she.
We need more of them.
Yes. And that's again part of my advocacy journey. Sometimes we think it's women who need to be uplifted by other women, but they're men.
Yes.
Who are very
much.
It's
the whole community because we can thrive without everyone.
Exactly.
Yes.
So when you talk about work-life balance, there was no work-life balance, but now at Citizen, I could manage because I had, I had a boss, a figure who understood that motherhood is tough.
Yes.
And they need a way to navigate.
Yes.
Yeah. Then at Citizen, I was at Citizen for about 3 years. Then now I left the local space and went international.
Okay.
Now at the international level of journalism, my dear, oh my God, they are very big on rest.
That's so nice.
Have you rested? How was your weekend? Are you okay? There's always a mental health check-in. And it is so refreshing.
It's so refreshing,
for
yeah.
a mother, for a
Yes,
woman.
yes.
And now I work from home. So I can take my kids to school, I can pick them, which
You
I
drop
couldn't
them,
do
you
before.
pick them,
Yes,
you see them
you
growing.
see them.
Yes.
It is beautiful.
Yeah.
And a lot of the conversations we have in the advocacy space is have or push organizations
Yes.
to think about these things.
Yes.
Yeah,
because rested staff will deliver better.
100%.
You know, you're happier.
You're happier.
And there's nothing as good as when you're happily working.
Exactly.
And then like also looking at your children, because your priority is your kids.
Yes.
So being given that opportunity also to see them,
exactly.
to spend time with them.
Spend time with
it's
them.
refreshing.
Yeah, and you don't have to apologize. For example, I remember when I was a young mom with my first baby,
Yes.
I would have maid issues.
Yes.
But they wouldn't want to hear about those issues. They'd
Yes.
be like, those are your own problems. Us, we want to see stories,
Yes.
Here, when you have a problem, you say it,
Yes.
and they're like, no, you go deal with it, come back when you're okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, when I have a school function, please go. And then when you come back, they want to know,
How
how did your child perform?
Yes.
When you have a Zoom call, they'll be like, where are your children? We want to say hi.
Wow.
Here in Kenya, if you have children on a Zoom call,
You're hiding them.
yes, you're hiding them.
Apologizing.
It is a totally different work environment. And the way it has impacted me,
Yes.
I'm seeing as a mother,
Yes.
I'm seeing myself, giving even more.
Yes.
Yeah?
You will end up giving more.
Exactly, because I'm getting even more. Yeah.
You're receiving, and
Yes.
that's beautiful.
Yeah.
So what are the highlights of being a mom? The joys, the beautiful things.
Ooh. I usually say to my friends that my son saved me.
Yes.
He taught me how to love again. First, he taught me how to love myself.
Cute.
Yeah.
So cute. That's so cute.
He's definitely a mama's boy. Yeah, which is not a bad thing. I know
Yes.
it can be a bad thing, but it's not a bad thing.
It's okay.
It's okay. It is what it
No,
is. Yeah.
And also we give them their first opportunity to see love.
Exactly.
So I mean, you're also setting an example for him.
Exactly. And he realigned my relationship with my daughter, because you remember I was being tough on her.
Yes.
He taught me how to love her.
Yeah.
Because I realized the way I'm loving him
Yes.
is not the way I'm loving her.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I also took her for therapy, and
Yes.
we are, developing our relationship again.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Another thing about motherhood is, unajua, I don't know how to say it in English. The way you can be reprimanded by a child until you're like, hey, I'm sorry. It makes you think about yourself.
Our kids are raising us.
Oh, our kids are
Yes.
raising us.
Yes.
Yeah, because I'll do something, or even shout. We were shouted at when we were young.
Mom, why are you shouting?
Why are you shouting?
Seriously,
Mom,
can we have a conversation?
can we? I am told that so many times that I have to check myself.
Yes.
And then a child has no filter.
Yes.
And it is such a beautiful thing, because it's not coming from a bad place.
Yes.
Because remember, I was telling you, my mom and my brother would tell me,
Yes.
and because I hadn't healed, I would take it badly.
Yes.
But from a child,
Yes.
you never take it badly, because the child is pure.
Yeah.
And they're being honest.
And these are, I think, the Gen Alphas. Somebody said the Gen Alphas have no filters.
No.
Yes,
And
they will tell you as it is.
So I'm learning how to mother and support that type of vocalness.
I love that.
Because I'm sure you'll agree that you and I were not vocal when we were growing up.
Millennials. We had multiple personalities.
Children were to be there, to be seen.
We were
not
told
to
by
be
our parents that you talk when you've been talked to.
Exactly. And you don't talk back, especially when you're being disciplined.
No voice.
No voice.
Yes.
But my children are the exact opposite, and it is beautiful
and you can
to
see our voicelessness is why we are voiceless even in governance. We are doing things wrong. We have no voice. We are not able to advocate for ourselves.
Yes.
So these children are very strong.
It's because
this
of
new
our
generation is quite unique.
Absolutely.
Yes. So what are some of the things that you would tell women who are coming after you in terms of preparing themselves? You're saying motherhood has no manual, but there are women who are coming into journalism after you. How would they prepare themselves in terms of being able to achieve their dreams in their career and also achieving their dreams of becoming moms and having successful families? And the ones who are already in the space, what would you tell them in terms of how they can navigate the space?
I think about 3 or 4 things. And the first one is, and maybe I did not mention, I became pregnant because other people were becoming pregnant. You know how you're told when you graduate, the next thing is to get married?
Yes.
And when you get married, the next thing is to have kids?
Yes.
And when you have a
The
kid,
whole
when
linear.
is the next one coming?
Yes.
And then when you have, it never ends.
It never ends. Even now they're asking you, can you get a third one for collecting slippers? Okay.
So,
The pressure.
Hey, the pressure.
Oh.
So if I was to go back, I would tell my 21 or 22 when I had my baby?
Your younger self.
I would tell myself, life begins at 60.
Like your mummies.
Yeah. And not to say that wait until you're in your 60s.
Yes.
But I'm saying that pressure, shake it off.
Yes.
Shake it off.
Yes.
Life is about you, not what about other people are saying.
Yes.
Find out who you are first.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Learn what you love what you don't love. Yeah? Learn who are your true friends and who are not.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
And then ask for help.
Exactly.
Yeah?
Yes.
Find out who can I ask for help. If I don't know, you're an intern or you're in university or you're a new mom.
Yes.
Find out who can I look up to, who is already in that space where I want to be.
Yes.
Who can I follow? Because now everything is online.
Yes.
Who now has a podcast like Edna where I can be listening?
Yes.
You know,
yes.
to learn what I am looking to learn, to learn how to navigate if you're not in an okay space.
Yes.
What can I do to get out of this space?
Yes.
So the first one is the pressure.
Yes.
The second one was what? Ask for help when
Yes.
you're not okay. The third one is, actually, which should have been at the first,
Yes.
is, you remember us saying forgive yourself?
Yes.
Because we make so many mistakes, whether you're 20, whether you're 30, whether you're 40, 50.
Oh, yes.
Life is about making mistakes.
Yes.
Learn
Always.
from those mistakes.
Forgive yourself and soldier on.
Yeah, and keep on
going.
Keep on forgiving yourself.
Yes.
And then trying again, starting again.
Yes.
Yeah? Because even as a mother, we are so hard on ourselves.
Yeah.
We are so hard on ourselves.
What is that about?
It's
Too
our
much.
bringing.
Yeah.
It's our bringing.
Who told us? Somebody, when I did Alabastron, they told us, don't be like a woman holding two pillars like this. You can't, please. So be a woman of strength.
Yeah.
Because you can be a strong woman. In fact, the whole thing of be strong.
Yeah.
Like for me, like I always tell people, don't tell me I'm strong. I'm not. I'm actually so fragile.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm just being a woman of strength.
Yeah.
And I'm doing what I need to do to soldier on, but I'm not strong.
Exactly. And you'll break. If you always want to seem perfect, you always want your marriage to look good.
Yes.
You always want to look like, I have it together with my children.
Yes.
At some point you'll break.
Yes.
Yeah.
So where is Rachel going to be in the next 5 years? Where do you see yourself?
Oh my God, I'm already headed there and it's so beautiful to see.
Yes.
So I really love public speaking and training.
Awesome.
I did recently a training on personal branding. Last year, December, I was in Rwanda and I was moderating a panel. We were talking about gender-based violence in newsrooms.
Okay.
So where do I see myself in 5 years? I'll be an international brand because now I feel I am a local
already
brand.
are, right?
Yes, I'm already am.
Yes.
But it will be at a higher level.
Yes.
At a higher level, I'll be sought after,
Yes. Yes.
And because right now, the work that I do from my home is editing. I'm an editor.
Yes.
But in 5 years, I want to have, my own company.
Yes.
That solely focuses on uplifting women by creating such spaces.
Yes.
Yeah? Where you get together, speak, whether it's at conferences, whether it's for tea, whether it's... Because a lot of the times you have these uplifting conversation in spaces, in silos.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
And the people who need this conversation the most don't get to listen to you.
Yes.
Yeah? But when now you're on a global platform and it gets to trickle down, you know how, what's her name? Bill and Melinda Gates. Did you hear that they separated?
Yes.
And then when they separated, she got, I don't know if it's alimony they call it.
Oh, I didn't know. I didn't follow that.
Yeah. So she got some amount of money from the separation, I think from the business that they had together.
Oh, yes.
And you know what she did with that money? She donated it to organizations that work with women.
Look at that.
That's the level I want to be at.
To empower others.
Yeah, not
to live for others.
Yes, because that's what life is about.
Yes, purpose.
Yes, life is for me now to be a great mom,
Yes.
to bring up my children.
Yes.
But on a much larger scale.
It's for the impact.
Exactly.
Yes.
Because what is life if it has no impact?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We are all here for a purpose.
I love that, and I totally believe you will thrive.
Yeah.
You're already thriving.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Rachel, for coming.
Yeah.
Thank you for editing my beautiful book, Tea with Mom, Stories of Mothers. I can't
It was
wait
a pleasure.
to give you more
It was
because
a pleasure.
actually we are building more themes.
Yes.
I collected so many stories.
Yeah.
So I still have like 4 more books coming up.
Beautiful.
So we're going to write more stories.
Yeah.
We should co-author a piece on women.
Yes.
I love that, and I thank you so much for coming today and inspiring us. I am so happy about your story of healing and finding joy.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of your mom. I cannot wait to meet her.
Oh,
I look forward when you go to America, send photos.
Oh, definitely.
And obviously we'll look forward when she comes back to Kenya, we can get together and have tea.
Yeah, and thank you for this space, because these are very important conversations, sometimes painful, but we need to have them. So thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you can give us your closing remark.
Yeah. I was saying thank you to Edna, but I also want to say thank you to whoever is listening or watching, because when we are seeking to heal, when we are seeking to have impact on others, we cannot do so if we do not learn about ourselves, if we do not heal ourselves, heal our own wounds. To heal others, we have to heal ourselves first. So that would be my take away from this session. And I hope that from this program, those who are watching will learn something that they can share with others. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, our audience today. That was Rachel Ombaka, a mom, a media advocate, a journalist, a successful international journalist. And we thank you so much, Rachel, for spending time with us today. And we look forward to having you back here after your 5 years of international game-changing impact. And I know that is happening.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And bye, guys.